being recorded and YouTubed. Have we got any apologies, Belinda?
No, Chair, we do not.
Okay, now Councillor Ewan was on, Councillor Ewan was at the workshop earlier, so she may come in. So I think we'll declare the meeting open. Would you like to be co-opted, Lord Mayor? Yep.
I'll move that the Lord Mayor be co-opted.
Thank you, Alderman Thomas. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Welcome aboard. So confirmation of minutes. Would someone like to move that, please? Yeah, thank you, Councillor Sherlock. Got in first, I think. I put that. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. I don't think we'll do a poll. These are consideration of supplementary items, there being none. We have a deputation for the next item. So I wonder if we could invite Mr. Michael Stoddart to join us now.
Sorry, Chair, but we haven't done indications of pecuniary interest and transfer of agenda items.
Sorry, thank you for that. I missed a page after all these years. So any indications of pecuniary conflicts of interest? Now, whilst I am on the Maritime Museum, I'm actually the council representative on the Maritime Museum. I don't think that's a pecuniary or a conflict of interest. Anyone else? No. Transfer of agenda items? Being no transfer of agenda items, I now again ask Craig or whoever does it to invite Mr. Stoddart to us.
He's not in the waiting room at the moment. They're making a call.
Oh, right. I'll just wait a moment because Councillor Ewan, Councillor Reynolds was put on the committee in your absence. I don't know whether the Lord Mayor would like to withdraw and allow you to be the voting member.
I'm happy to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Perhaps,
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Perhaps, Chairman, you might wish to deal with one of the other items whilst Craig arranges our.
Yes, we could go to item 6.3. We'd just need a, I think 6.3, would someone like to move that item be considered now?
I'll move that, Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Thomas. Put that. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. So we'll consider 6.3, which you recall that there was some issues about who owned the tree and whether we could make it a listed tree. I think in the end it got listed, but anyway, the report indicates. Would you like to make any words? Say some words about it, Glenn?
Look, very quickly, Chairman, you're right. There's been ambiguity regarding the ownership of the tree. The report provides some detail there. And what we're proposing is that Council does enter into a formal agreement with the church and really to, if you like, underpin or validate the arrangement that has existed for a number of years. So from a budgetary point of view, it's already accommodated. It's just that there was never an appropriate agreement executed between ourselves and the church. And I think that'll give us, if we were to do that, it'd give us some clarity.
Thank you for that. And obviously the tree offers a lot to our streetscape, so it is a public benefit. And would someone like to move that motion? Thank you, Councillor Sherlock. Any further discussion? I think it's a good outcome. Okay, I put that motion. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. Let's say that the ayes have it unanimously. The motion's passed. So how are we going, Craig, with the getting hold of Mr. Stoddart?
Excuse me, Chair, I'm just on the phone to him at the moment, so we're just trying to log him into Zoom. So we should only be another couple of moments.
Couple of moments, okay.
Should I be brave, Chairman, and suggest perhaps item 7 could be dealt with?
Yep. We need a motion that we consider item 7. Thank you, Alderman Thomas got in, I think, first before Councillor Sherlock. So would someone like to move the motion? Perhaps Councillor Sherlock. Thank you. Any discussion? Being no discussion, put that. Those in favour say aye. I think the ayes have it. Declare the motion carried. How are we going, Belinda? We could probably go to another item, the item 8. Could someone move that we consider item 8 now? Thank you, Alderman Thomas. Someone like to move that? Thank you, Alderman. Oh, I think Councillor Sherlock got in first. So there's response to questions without notice. Recommendation's been moved by Councillor Sherlock. I put that. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it unanimously.
Sorry, Chair, you're just going to have to give me a couple more moments. So I'm just still trying to get Mr. Stoddart in.
Yeah, I think we've covered all the items we can do fairly quickly. I think the bushland one needs a fair bit of discussion. I'd rather do that after the Maritime Museum.
Sure. Just give me about another couple of minutes and I should have him in.
Okay. Well,
Chairman, I wonder if there are any questions without notice that any committee member might have whilst we're waiting.
Yep. Okay. Someone like to move that we consider questions without notice now. Thank you, thank you, Alderman Thomas. Thank you. So we consider item 9. So put that. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it unanimously. Any questions without notice? Wonderful. Okay, we declare we can't consider the closed meeting because we haven't done it yet. Yeah, you've got sorry, Alderman. Sorry, Councillor Reynolds, Lord Mayor, you've got a question.
Yes, I do, and I think this may have been asked before. So just if it has, just refer me to a previous response. What plans are there for lighting the Hobart rivulet? I think did you respond to one of those before?
Through you, Chairman, I think, Lord Mayor, we may have provided a memo on that one. I do recall it, but I'll take it on notice so I can provide a formal response.
Yeah, and I guess it's just in the context of there being it being a lot more of a walking and cycling route, not just a park route that I guess is coming up a bit more.
Yeah, Chairman, I am aware that there has been some work undertaken there, and I think the South Hobart Community Organisation has identified the lighting of that walkway as a priority as well. And I'm almost sure we might have had a bit of a look for some external funding, but I'll come back with a more comprehensive response. Chairman, if I might assist whilst we are waiting for Belinda, there is a memo that's going to go out to elected members tomorrow advising of some minor landscaping work that's being done to the gardens in front of the town hall. The plants that are currently the understory in the gardens across the front and beside the town hall are very thick, and the claviers that are there need to be replaced or removed at least. We'll be doing that. We'll be retaining the plants for planting elsewhere, and we'll be putting some gravel mulch around the trees. So it will give quite a different look to the front, to the gardens in front of the town hall. But from a horticultural point of view, it is necessary to undertake the work, but just to advise committee accordingly.
Thank you. I'm tempted to start, unless Belinda says that we're almost ready to get Mr. Stoddart. I'm tempted to open item 6.2 and then come back if Mr. Stoddart is online. So if that's okay with everyone, I'll move to 6.2. There was a workshop earlier this afternoon, but perhaps if I hand over to Mr. Doyle to make an opening comment.
Thank you, Chairman. The, copies of the draft bushfire management strategy have been circulated, and as the Chairman said, there was a detailed briefing provided prior to this meeting. It is a revision of an existing strategy. It is a fairly comprehensive document, but a high-level document. We are seeking endorsement to enable it to be circulated for community consideration and for us to receive feedback before final validation of the strategy. The strategy is really a 10-year document, and it talks about being reviewed after 5. There is a series of actions within it. There is also will be a plain English version of the document that is available to provide a more understandable communication to the community. During the discussion earlier this afternoon, there was a suggestion that the strategy might incorporate a reference to the city exploring, and I hope we've got this right, Lord Mayor, exploring opportunities for external funding to help us advance the content. And so we have drafted up a suggested alternative recommendation or an addition to the recommendation that's on your agenda. I don't know whether Belinda, you can put that, or Craig, you could put that on the screen for us. And then, Chairman, I'll be quiet and allow committee to give consideration. Mr. Fisher is obviously present if you have any questions of us. So Craig or Belinda, could you put that proposed alternative recommendation on our screen so as we can see that, please?
Sorry, Glenn, Craig's just on the phone to Mr. Stoddart, so he's just trying to get him in and he'll put it up. Oh, here we go. It's done.
Thank you. So, Chairman, the amendment is that the draft strategy include a table which identifies external funding opportunities that the city might pursue to help with the implementation of the strategy. Lord Mayor, I'm not sure if that appropriately captures your comments, but with that, I'll be quiet.
Good. Perhaps we should ask that question of the Lord Mayor.
Yeah, I think it does. Thank you for that. I just wonder, it wasn't just about external funding opportunities. It was also the actions that other partners could take. And I think the example I used was we may want the TFS to expand their own bushfire neighbourhood ready program, because at the moment it only has, I think, 1 officer in the whole of the south. So it's external funding opportunities for us, but it's also actions that partners could take that helps with the implementation of the strategy. So it just might be adding that the draft strategy include a table which identifies external funding opportunities that the city might pursue, and actions that partner organisations and governments could take to help with the implementation of the strategy.
Okay, thanks for that, Lord Mayor. Alderman Thomas.
Yeah, look, I'd commend that, Lord Mayor. I think that's an excellent suggestion. I think that, look, realistically, I'm not saying we do this, but the entity or stakeholder that has the most to lose in this game is insurance companies. And it'd be absolutely fantastic if they would come to the party and take some proactive action in relation to bushfire management. Ultimately, it falls back on them. They were the ones that started municipal fire brigades in England in the first place, because of this very issue of trying to contain their losses. I think it's an excellent idea, and I think that with our wonderful director here, we'd have the opportunity to try to identify both the funding opportunities and the real action of partners, because we are covering a huge territory here. And I think whatever we could do, I'd actually add to that, Lord Mayor, if possible, recommendation that report comes back to us within perhaps 2 council meetings with the department's response to this, so that we can get it cracking potentially before the next fire season hits us heavily.
Thank you, Alderman Thomas. Perhaps we just need a response from Mr. Doyle, I think.
Yeah, look, I certainly understand your keenness, Alderman Thomas, to receive a response. We need to remember that this is a draft strategy we're releasing for community comment. But if perhaps you were to suggest that we report back to you maybe by the 30th of September, that would give us a chance to get the strategy to the community back formalised and make the approaches to the agencies and so forth. And then the strategy also requires us to provide you with an annual summary of the implementation, and we could certainly include in that the success or otherwise we've had with both the partners and the funding agencies. So maybe rather than giving us a couple of months time frame, if a little bit more lead time might be more achievable.
I'm just wondering, and I'd certainly appreciate the Lord Mayor's views, is that the strategy is going out for consultation. Is it too wild to think we could actually ask, as part of the submissions back, what people thought of or what organisations thought of this? Because, I mean, it could well be that there would be a lot of support for that. I mean, it's the greatest loss to the greatest risk to one of your biggest financial assets. It could be the members of the public have some really good ideas in this, or business itself.
Certainly, Chairman, we will happily incorporate this additional table. We would also make sure that our draft strategy goes to the various stakeholder agencies so as they can provide us with their feedback. And you know, that can be TasFire and peak bodies of insurance industry and so forth as part of our engagement process. I'm just a little anxious in putting a time frame that is fairly restrictive in us getting a response back with regard to their ability to contribute.
No, that's okay. I mean, I think this is a good extension of the concept that was raised by the Lord Mayor. I'm just thinking that when you did go to insurers and other parties, could it be specifically mentioned as opposed to waiting for something to rise from the deliberation?
Yeah, I wonder if Alderman Thomas would like to move the motion with those additions.
Well, I'm certainly happy, as long as the Lord Mayor's happy, because I don't want to hijack that initiative. I just think it'd be handy to get somebody to think about whether they should be. I'm happy to move it, yes. With that.
Yeah, the Lord Mayor's not on the committee, not a voting member of the committee at the moment. So.
Okay, yes, I'm happy to move that.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? Okay, look, I just want to congratulate the officers of getting that report, that strategy together. It's over 100 pages. There's a lot of work involved. It reads well. Having that additional plain English one for the community is a good initiative as well, and it will help elected members when they are talking to the community about this strategy. So I intend to put the motion that's been moved with those small additions by the ideas from the Lord Mayor and Alderman Thomas. And you want to make a further comment, did you, Alderman Thomas?
Yeah, look, if I could before it's put, I don't suspect I suspect the answer is positive, but I think we asked the same thing, Mr. Fisher, last year. Do we feel that in preparing this strategy, have we turned our mind to whether or not the cities, whatever the extent of the city's legal responsibilities, do you believe that we have adequately faced by doing the strategy? And I mean, have we ever gone out and said, well, what's our duty, what's our responsibility? Have we discharged that through the strategy?
Mr. Doyle?
I think Mr. Fisher, given his experience in other jurisdictions, might be well placed to answer this one, Chairman.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I saw that one coming. Look, absolutely. Alderman Thomas, the critical issue here is that we're acting as a landowner, and as a landowner, we have a duty of care to the community to suppress fires which might arise on our land, and to do what is reasonable to prevent a fire from escaping our land. Now, if a fire were to come through from Glenorchy and progress through and land owned by the City of Hobart in, Ridgeway or Knocklofty or whatever, there's no legal liability on the city for not having done, burnt the whole place black and there was no fuel to burn. That's not the issue. The issue is, would a reasonable person understand that what the city has undertaken on its land to protect its neighbours and to the community is reasonable, what you would expect. My professional opinion on that is what the city has done goes beyond anything that any other local government landowner has done, in my experience, in this country, simply because we are a major landholder. We own 43, 47% of the land mass, and we seem to own every block of vegetation that in the peri-urban area where people are exposed is reserve managed by the city. The work we've done, fuel breaks, fire trails, hazard reduction burns, mechanical thinning, and community education is well beyond, to be honest, and I would put the point that in any court of law or God forbid, a coronial inquiry, the city would be well placed to defend and to show to any judge that we have been a responsible citizen and we've done more than reasonable works to protect the community. On that day, it will not be enough, and nothing we'll do on that day will be enough, but we can put our hand on our heart and say we did all we could and we did more than was reasonable, and I think that's the position that we need to be in.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. I think that answers it very well, actually. With no further comment, I intend to put the motion. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it unanimously. Thank you very much. The motion's passed. Now, Craig, have we got, or Belinda, have we got someone waiting in the waiting room now? Craig?
Nearly there.
Nearly there. Oh, good. And we've just got closed after this item, so. Looks like we've success. Welcome, Michael. Now you'll have to turn off your mute button, which is on the corner there, so we can hear you.
Right.
Yes.
There we go. Sorry about all that.
No worries. Look, I'll just introduce you. You put a proposal before the council to display Aurora Australis 2, the workboat of the Aurora Australia Antarctic vessel, and so I'll hand over to you. Before I hand over to you, many people would realise that your deep interest in science and Antarctic goes back many, many years, and you've occupied incredible and important positions over the years and have made significant contributions. So I'd like to say that before you start, but over to you now.
Well, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen of the committee, thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to you. I'm not speaking to you from the viewpoint of somebody being very interested in Antarctic science and Antarctica, which I am, but I'm speaking to you as Vice President of the Maritime Museum of Tasmania, because this is a proposal from the Maritime Museum of Tasmania. The background to this is that the Maritime Museum was approached by P&O, who were the former owners, I suppose still are the owners of the big ship, the Aurora Australis, which they then took overseas, but they didn't take the workboat, this little boat, which is 9 and a bit meters long, little motorboat. They didn't take it with the big ship. The big ship is now in Dubai, is being fixed up to undertake work in the Arctic. They've approached the Maritime Museum to say they'd be prepared to donate it to a worthy cause. And the Maritime Museum's view is that a worthy cause would be to put this boat on display publicly somewhere in Hobart in order to be able to keep alive the link between Hobart and the Aurora Australis, and further, and the further link, which is between the city of Hobart and Antarctica. When the Aurora Australis was here, tens of thousands of people went over that ship, fell in love with the ship. And I speak as somebody who for years showed people around the ship during the Antarctic festivals. The new ship, when it comes, will not be accessible because it'll be over on Macquarie Wharf and not on not up against the Prince's Wharf. So I think we're in a kind of break point here between one regime and another. And our view in the museum is that by having the little Aurora Australis, the workboat, on permanent display with a panel, an interpretation panel, we'll be able to keep the spirit of the Aurora Australis alive, at least. Hobart, you don't need me to tell you, Hobart's a major Antarctic gateway, a major Antarctic city, and yet there's very little public expression of that. You only need to go to a city like Christchurch, where you'll, as soon as you step into the airport, it says, "Welcome to Christchurch, gateway to the Antarctic." And there's a fine Antarctic museum there, just as there is in Punta Arenas in Chile, as there is in Cape Town, and of course in the UK, the Scott Polar Institute. We actually have nothing. And we feel that the presence of this little boat on display publicly would at least begin to focus people's attention on the fact that Hobart is a significant Antarctic player. Indeed, Australia is a very significant Antarctic player, as you may have seen from yesterday's Australian. If you saw an article about the new runway that's being proposed to be built on rock at Davis Station, and the article spoke about the international significance of that and the fact that funds simply have to be found to make this thing happen. So Australia's position is far, far greater than there is any public expression of. The only museum in Australia where you'll get anything significant is in Canberra, and it's a very fine museum. The National Museum is a great museum, but the Antarctic is only one of the various themes that it's responsible for. I, both from the point of view of the Maritime Museum and also from my other interests, believe that we need to do whatever we can to start a focus of Antarctic attention here in Hobart. And so it's our hope that if this little boat is put on display in a public place where people can get up close to it and can read the interpretation panel, then we'll have taken that first step, and it could well be the beginning of a development which could lead to significant tourism operations and so on way down the track. So really, that's what I wanted to bring to the committee, is to seek your approval for the boat to be put on display and for there to be some consideration about perhaps where it could be put. I think, Chair, that probably in a nutshell adds to but says everything which is in the little submission.
Thank you, Michael. So the submission is actually not asking for any funds whatsoever. It's asking for help from the city to find a place for it on land, and the maintenance of it would be a responsibility of the Maritime Museum. My understanding of it would be, and volunteers. So is what we'll do is, anyone has a question of Mr. Stoddard, and then we'll go into the formal committee consideration of this. Any questions? You've impressed us, Mr. Stoddart. Usually there are questions. So,
Yeah,
there's Alderman Thomas. Yeah.
The only question I have, Michael, and thanks for not only for your presentation, but the enthusiasm that the group is exhibiting to this little vote. You haven't got any pull at the airport, have you? I mean, if we're an Antarctic gateway.
Putting my other hat on as a former chief scientist of the Antarctic program, we battled with the airport over years to try and get recognition there of Hobart as an Antarctic gateway. No, it absolutely fell on deaf ears. So very sad, but there we are.
Good.
Yeah, depending on other questions, I'm happy to move to support the recommendation, but to add some words that we believe, or Mr. Stoddart believes, will assist the process of the museum.
Chair.
Councillor Harvey.
Just to add to that last point on the airport has new owners now who might be a bit more interested. So it might be worth, as Alderman Thomas has suggested, approaching the airport. New owners might be a different feel for it. Yep.
Good.
Thank you. That's good advice. I think the main push there would need to come from the Australian Antarctic Division, but it was so keen on it some years ago that I don't think it would be difficult to get their keenness back up. And
Thank you for that, Councillor Harvey. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Stoddart, you can't actually make any further comments unless we ask you. There's the protocols of the committee. So Alderman Thomas is going to move the motion with an addition. Perhaps Alderman Thomas could read it out.
Yes, it's to recommendation 2, Chair. Instead of the words at the moment read, the city support the museum to engage, etc. The reference would be, if amended, the city supports the public display of Aurora Australis 2, and to that end supports the museum to engage with. So effectively, it's adding words after the first 2 words, the city. It's adding in these additional words, supports the public display of Aurora Australis 2, and to that end supports, and then the recommendation reads exactly as.
Good. Look, I've got a copy of that too. I'll pass on to Belinda as well. So thank you, Alderman Thomas. And just before we put it to the vote, look, the city has done quite a few things. I think started at the time of Alderman Thomas when he was Lord Mayor, making sure that we were recognised as an Antarctic city and recognising the people that work on the boats in the start of the Antarctic season, although I don't think there was one last year. But again, we are an important city for Antarctic exploration, and having such a boat which has a clear link to Aurora Australis, I think is a great move. So unless anyone has any comments, I'll put the motion that's been moved by Alderman Thomas. Those in favour say aye. And let's say that's unanimous. Thank you very much, Alderman Thomas, and thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay, so we now continue with the committee. We do need a motion to go into closed. Thank you, Alderman Thomas. We'll have to put that. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have